it's very difficult for me to say, I'm sorry that you're in trouble, but you don't pay me. I mean, not fundamentally, you don't pay me enough to keep
Right.
you out
It's
of
tough.
trouble, right?
Yeah.
And that was super hard. And I found it was a real disconnect with what I believed as a person, never mind a business owner, what I believed as a person.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I am your host, Michael Palmer, and today we're continuing our two-part conversation with Lynn Gagne-Webb, founder of Custom Bookkeeping and Consulting. In this finale of this series, she shares insights on pricing, client expectation, and building a bookkeeping business that fits your goals. From hourly rates to value-based models, let's jump into that conversation right now. One of my questions is really around that is trust and transparency. We've talked about, really, there's a big piece of trust that you've put in your staff, and it's transparent. It's like, I'm transparently telling you, I don't care what you do, just get the job done. And if you work, you get paid. If not, that's all. That's great. What about with clients? What was it like communicating to clients? What have you learned that maybe other people are missing around communication and communicating with clients?
So I went to an accounting conference with our organization years ago. And there was, I can't remember the name of the company, was Counting Something. And they were very focused, selling courses to grow your business. And they had, so I had purchased it and I'd taken a bit of it. And so I didn't invent this. I just want to say it was such a beautiful tool. And what they did was they had, as part of their program, they had this color coding. You're familiar with the disc profile, right? The colors. Yes. Similar, not that. And this was very specific to the industry where you really needed to say, there are colors for communication and the way people assimilate numbers. So they had 4 colors. They had blue, white, yellow, and red. And a little quiz, and they said, learn about the person. So it was really it was kind of like the DISC profile, but it wasn't, DISC is very nice, and this is very specific to the accounting industry. So I loved it, and I remember going through it and thinking, oh, that's who I am. Then we implemented, I thought, I need to know what my people are. So what we did with that internally is we implemented it perfectly. We implemented it with everybody. They took the test. Everybody gets a color in the end. And then we went to IKEA because they had colored frames and they were the perfect colors for these colored frames. Mm-hmm. So everybody had a frame at their door or at their desk when you walked up to them, and you knew when you walked up to that desk, if somebody was red, you needed to communicate in red. And I was very red. So somebody who was a white color, for example, needed detail. And they would come to me and they would talk about the detail. And I'd point to my sign, I'd be like, red. And they'd be like, okay, just want to let you know it's done. Thank you. That's all I need to know.
That's funny.
So we became super efficient. Then I went, so I'm getting around to the customers. So we did in our customer questionnaire, we didn't ask them we kind of asked them to take a quiz, but we had questions in there which would lead us to understanding their color because it was about communication. And we would record that. So we would have, Sally's shoes, and then we'd have red in brackets. So we knew that the owner of Sally was red, and you need to talk to her because when you're talking to Sally, if you are talking in detail and giving her everything that you did, she's not going to like you because she's a different, she needs to hear it in a different language. So then we would know this is what we have to do. So all of our colors or all of our customers had color codes to them when they called. We had this one gentleman, his name was Henry, and he always wanted to book with me. So he had a girl working on his account, but he always wanted to book with me. And he was of a color. And I thought, Every time he would say, yeah, can I come in and see you about this issue about, half an hour? I would book an hour and a half because I knew he wants every little detail. And I knew that I was going to have to explain it. So it's always about their color. And that was mind blowing for customers. The experience, I think that whole piece that I implemented, that shot my company up. I got more business. Customers were happy. They left less often because we lived the culture internally already. And it was just a little bit more to apply it to the customers so you could talk in the language they needed to hear. And then the other thing we did with customers was we identified an airplane. I still use this to this day. When you become one of my customers, I will say to you, do you know how an airplane works, right? There's first class, you get great service, it costs more, but there's economy that costs less, but you're okay not having a few things. And then I'll say to them, I'll literally give them a picture of an airplane seat. Where do you want to sit on my airplane? Like, and people will tell you where they want, and they lay out, it's the most beautiful way to lay out the expectations. Look, I've had people point and go, first class. Okay. That tells me
Beautiful.
I need a service.
Bring out your wallet.
That's right. Exactly. And they're willing to pay. So I'm like, and I ask that question before we talk about rates sometimes, because I don't want to ever give the impression, if they're expecting to pay, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, it's $50. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that. But yet if they're economy, I know I have to have a bigger question or a bigger conversation about rates. So asking about that airplane has been life-changing for me as a company. Even now, I use it today. If you become my customer tomorrow, I'd be asking you about the airplane.
That's amazing. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a great analogy or metaphor, and a lot of people, I can't say everybody, but a lot of people have flown on an airplane or had a first, even if you're on a train, right? Like, you've been on a train. There's first class, there's second class, there's third class. Like, you've got all these different classes that people understand and have deeply experienced the difference between sitting in first class or economy. And now most people probably experience economy, but they observe because they don't put it at the back. You get to walk through the first class.
That's right.
And see everybody having a seat and sipping their champagne and maybe, lying down and having a nap in their little cabin in the airplane. It's amazing. But that analogy is fantastic for setting the expectations and having a really, I would think, a fun conversation around where people think they sit. And then also, I'm sure, I'd be really curious because there's the people that might think, well, I like first class, but I don't want to pay for first class. I want to use the points.
80%.
80%. Right? Oh, I'm first class. But they're not willing to pay the first class ticket, which is, be like, how do you handle that when they're like, oh, put me right up front here?
Yeah.
Like, what's the thing you say after that?
So what I say is it's an airplane, right? It's an airplane. You can upgrade to a better seat, but that's going to cost you a little bit more. So we can be like, you can buy your economy ticket, but when push comes to shove and you got to get on that airplane, it's an extra $60 to get the seat that you want. Or like, you can always go back to the airplane, or people will say, well, I want this seat, but I want first class. And I'll say, yeah, but then you got to buy 2 seats and it's going to end up more expensive in the end, which really means if I have to go back, if I set you up as a customer under economy and I'm constantly going back, I don't get to do it right the first time. So I have to charge you more money. So wanting economy seats at first class actually costs you more than first class would have cost you in the first place. So you can just always, as a business owner, sometimes having those money conversations, even though we're in the business of money, having those money conversations can be really uncomfortable. And it's really hard to figure out what customers' expectations are. When you come back to that airplane and you just think in your mind as a business owner, why can't they have 2 seats? Then it really does come natural where it really says you can't have 2 seats because it costs you more to have 2 seats. So you have to pick a place. Inevitably, people pick like row 8 after first class, the emergency aisle.
Right. That would be business class.
Right. No, right
Business
on the
class.
edge of economy. And they're like, yeah, where the emergency is, so I have more leg room. And I'll be like, okay,
That's right.
but you're going to have some rules when it comes to that. So you can have that, but the rule is we're not going to do this, and we're not going to do this, and we're not going to do this.
I love that. But well, there are rules in that seat too. You know, they go through the rules when you pick that seat. It's like, yeah, you're getting this great deal. You're getting basically first class
Leg room,
foot room. But guess what? If need be, you're the one that's going to be opening this, door, and you need to follow these rules, and so there's going to be some constraints that get put on you. I love the analogy. I think it's a lot of fun. You have to have the G5 as well. It's like, hey, we could even get you your own plane if you really want one.
Some people do.
That's what we're talking about. And there are those people that do, and that's a whole different experience. But those levels, there's so much power in these kinds of metaphors. If people are a metaphor or analogy type people, and I can always get confused of whether we're talking about an analogy or a metaphor. We're probably got both of them running here. But the point being is that when you can put it into those kinds of terms, people really start to understand the message deeply, and they get the message and they get the point. And it's like, I get it. Yeah, that's right. Like the champagne service is more money. Like you're not getting the champagne service, but it's also a great way to talk about all the benefits of choosing different packages. And it's like, well, what is the champagne equivalent if you sit in this business when let's talk about the champagne service? Well, you're going to get this and you're going to get that. And those things will help you do these things and you'll get more of that. So love the analogy. I've never heard it before. I don't think ever in terms of someone talking about their business and pricing and service level that they're going to offer. Very neat. I'm sure it's been very helpful.
It has extremely helpful. And I think from a business owner standpoint of a bookkeeping firm, business owners become business owners because they're passionate about what they do. But that conversation about money is uncomfortable for lots of people. So I think sometimes business owners, kind of in general, not just in this industry, but we bypass the customer expectation portion. If you don't manage your customer's expectation, all you're doing is adding customers just to have customers leave you, right? And that really helps manage the customer's expectations. And when there's a problem, and I know that customer is super price sensitive, and they'll be like, you should have done this for me. That's kind of the message where it starts. And I'll be like, well, wait a minute, hold on. Before we talk about the issue that happened, let me talk about where you're on my airplane. Like, do I have this wrong? I have you sitting in row 32 in economy. That's the way we structured it. And we would have talked about the things, this thing that happened, it is because we're not paying attention to your business every month, or we're not checking your government site, right, to see whether you owe, or we're not taking the time to write you lengthy emails about what you're doing wrong, or whatever the or happens to be for your business. It's so beautiful because I don't talk about what happened. I talk about, hold on a minute. The second I make the connection that what happened is not on my airplane, I go back to that. And customers are really good. They're like, well, put me up to row 6 then, because this is painful and it doesn't happen. Perfect. I can totally do that for you. And I'm happy to do that. We offer that service. So it's good for managing expectations. But I got to tell you, as a business owner, I'm so passionate about what happens in people's business, and I get so caught up that I actually just forget to have the money conversation lots of times. And it's good for me as the owner because I always have something that not only grounds me, but it's an easy way to communicate back to the customer. This is where we have you pegged at.
That's right. Yeah, I like it. It takes it away from you as well. It's like, well, it's not me that's charging. It's a first class ticket, and so that changes the conversation of, well, how much is it going to cost? How much are we going to charge you? Well, first you're setting some expectations to get people. It's like, is this going to be too much, too little? What kind of service level do you want? it's a really wonderful way to have a conversation and a discovery call around the airplane, right? It's like, what do you find back there? Like, you're sitting by the toilet. Okay. Some people don't have a problem with that. In fact, that's a benefit to them, right? I just stand up and go to the bathroom. Hopefully in the bathroom with the door closed, but that's their choice. But now we can say, okay, now we've determined all the things that you want and why it's great to be in first class and what, where do you think you are? And then, okay, these are the prices. And then really cool. It's like, wow, oh my goodness, right? That much. It's like, well, no problem. We move you a couple seats back. Such a cool way of doing that.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I agree with you.
Now, when you're through your pricing, have you always, you discovered this, did you always have packages or service levels, or did you start with hourly, or what did that trajectory look like?
Wow. I mean, this is something that I'm struggling with actually here in the today and right now. So when I owned my firm, we had both. You could be hourly or you could be packages. And we kind of pushed more people towards the packages. But in this business that I have today, which is really just another firm, right? I mean, we have staff and all that stuff. I have a bit of a different clientele now. And what ends up happening, because we have the service in place and because they get the passion and because they can talk to me about anything and because I do taxes and I don't, I always usually recommend the corporate ones, see an accountant, but on another third party, because I just don't believe that the same person who does your books should be the same person that does your taxes. Fundamentally, I think that those should be different. But we keep offering more. So then initially what started was I did a package and say, this is what you got. But remember one of the first questions you asked me, and I said my passion was small business. It's very difficult for me to say, I'm sorry that you're in trouble, but you don't pay me. I mean, not fundamentally, you don't pay me enough to keep you out of trouble, right?
Yeah.
And that was super hard. And I found it was a real disconnect with what I believed as a person, never mind a business owner, what I believed as a person. So now I'm honestly hourly. I have two different rates in my company. If you want me, I'm one rate. And if you want my staff, it's a different rate. It's two different rates. And if you want daily monitoring of an email or daily monitoring, then there's a third rate. That's the only three rates you get in a company. Because when people come to us, they think they're coming for bookkeeping, but I never know if they're a customer which is going to embrace the numbers and understand what it does. So then they ask more and they ask more and they ask more and they ask more. And eventually what they've asked is way outside of my package. And it's too difficult for me to say, well, this wasn't your package and we're going to do it, because my staff who are handling people, they're nice and they don't want to have the money conversation. So they will just do it and not bill for it. Mm-hmm. So then it leads to this other part of scope creep. So I think I really have recognized, and pretty recently as well, I may add, that I don't want to do packages. Yes, you can make money and it's consistent and it's reliable, but I'm busy, right? If you were to come to me and say, we want to use your company, if it's anything significant, because we are that whole accounting department for some companies. We have a number of companies. They don't even have their own people. They turn every single thing over to us, from billing to collections to the bookkeeping, like everything. So if you were one of those companies coming, I would tell you, you have a 4 to 6 month wait just to get me to pay attention to it so I can integrate it in. Like we're busy, which is a good place to be. But our customers are very loyal. They can't find the level of not everybody, of course, they can't find that level of completeness. And that's who I want to be as a company. But when you offer a full service, if you're not structured, if you want to have less customers, better and higher levels of customer service, it's super difficult to have packages. So we just don't. We're hourly. Whatever time we spend is what we're going to bill you. And that works good, because when a staff member is doing something, they clock in, they clock out, that bill goes to the customer and they can see their rising costs, right? And they know that something's up with that. And when they see the rising costs, and I just had this conversation with a customer recently, And he's like, whoa, my bill is twice what it was 6 months ago. I'm like, yeah, okay, hold on. We're on the plane. Like, let's talk about where we're sitting on the plane first before we talk about your bill. Because we have that wrong. I need to correct that because that's where rising bill costs come from. And that was really good, but it just, the customers see it. They see it in real time. We've got the airplane. It kind of works together. And I think packages, we just don't offer packages. What I do is manage the expectations of a customer, put them on the airplane, and then we implement internally. And that really is our package, right?
Interesting. Yeah, it's still a package. It's just the mechanism at which you charge by in that package, like we talked the first class. It's very different than most people are leaning to have been for the last decade to value pricing, fixed pricing, all of these pricing conversations. However, pricing is there's no one size fits all. There are people who would say that there is out there, and they make it work. And if we had them on the podcast right now, they would convince us that that's the way to go. But it's figuring out what works for you. And also there's going to be pros. You have pros that's working for you. There's also cons. And I'd be curious what you think are some of the cons. And you've kind of said that. It's like, yeah, they see this bigger price. We have to have a conversation. If it was a fixed price, sure, that conversation would go away. But then the con of that is you got scope creep, perhaps. It pushes them up, and they're getting some champagne back there in economy, and that adds up. We're pouring the champagne back there for all these economy people. So there's pros and cons in all aspects. And I think it's a good message to get to our listener is that, number one, if I was going to do a poll and I was going to make a bold statement and probably be right, even though it's pulled out of my hat, is everyone can increase their prices. There's always that room for opportunity. Yours is an interesting one. And I will tell you, the conversation, subscription and pricing and all that, in the world of AI, companies the subscription businesses are going, wait a second, we can't do this. This is costing us money, and it's turning to a consumption model. So your model is more of a consumption model. Is like, this is what you get. You have, if you're in first class, you're burning at this rate. And if you're in economy, you're burning at that rate. But your consumption is going to be consumed at a certain rate based on where you sit on the plane. And that's where companies are going. I just got an email from software that we use where they're like, yeah, we've got credits now. And it's like for all these different things that happen within AI. So we're a really big subscription, pay a big subscription fee, have for years. But because they're adding so much AI into the system, that's super valuable. AI is super valuable. It's super helpful inside. But now they're going, wait a second, we're changing the game a little bit. And you're going to have so many credits, and when those credits, so our bill will go up or it'll stay the same depending on whether we decide to go walk up into first class and pick up some champagne or not. So interesting, and I think it'll be food for thought for many to think about how they're doing it and ways they can look at it.
I did the value pricing for years, and we had half of our customers were on a value pricing, but I think you have to consider your market. Inevitably, I have to tell you, when a new customer comes to me and the first thing that they ask for is the thing that is ticking them off with their last bookkeeper, right? When they say, do you value price? And I know he doesn't like that. Or do you make sure my stuff gets done on time, right? Oh, he's had a problem. So whatever it is they say first is what the issue is that I have to address.
That's an interesting thought.
I would say 80% of people that are brand new customers or that come to me ask right off the get-go if I am a flat rate or not. So, and that's not the way it always has been. But I think we are subscription to death. Like, I don't know about you, but I'd probably spend $1,000 a month on all the subscriptions and the user seats that I need just to function in my business. People are, so if you are a guy who lays carpets for a living, $250 or $300 a month is a lot of money for him. Like he thinks, oh, it's $3,000 a year. He doesn't understand books. We know that that's probably what he needs, but he doesn't. Neither does he care. It's $3,000 a month. Then he's going to pay his accountant another $2,000 a month or for his tax return, right? So I think that I think people are subscription to death, and we're definitely seeing an increase in the number of people that ask us, do you do flat rates? Right. And then, yeah, we're seeing an increase in it. And
well, it's the market's
yeah, I
changing
think so.
because people are changing for sure over the last 10, 15 years, this conversation. And people are doing really badly out there, like everything, right? It's like, let me cookie cutter this thing with you and whether it works or not. So you can just imagine anything people do, there's going to be the ones doing it really well, and then on the other side, really, really awfully. But I think absolutely we look at everybody wants to take a bigger share of something in the market. I just think of television. You think of, we used to complain about a cable subscription, right? It's like, it's a cable subscription. I'm paying like $80 a month or $100 a month for cable. Now you go look at people's subscriptions for entertainment, television, YouTube, YouTube, Netflix, Crave, Apple, Disney. We have young kids, so you got a little bit of that. You need it. Well, you need that one, and you need this one. It's like way more than what we paid for cable. Now we can, and we probably watch it a lot less. That's
right.
That's the other thing. It's like there's too much. Like I can't even remember the last time I watched a show. So, anyways, I'm getting off track a little bit. The point is that yes, we are oversubscribed to in terms of these billing things, and also it's that conversation. I love though the little piece that you said there is the first question they ask, or the first sort of. It's like, that's an interesting. Pay attention. Go deeper on that. Why? Tell me more about that. Is it something that you don't like, you do like? But that's a little flag, a little canary giving you a message that's going to dictate maybe how you approach the deal.
It's interesting. I actually learned that from an HR person who said when candidates come and she hires for other clients, when the client says, and they start asking questions, the candidate should be listening because the first thing that they ask is the problem they had with the last person in that position. So they don't want to repeat. And as human beings, we do that. We want to avoid pain. So I actually just simply applied that to the business. Yeah, and it is inevitably, it's true every time. That's their pain point. Whatever they're asking you is their pain point. And often if you can tag into the pain point, you can charge whatever rate you want to. You don't need to cut your rates for this person, right? Which you shouldn't do ever, I don't think. But however, you can certainly, when you talk their language, it's the same. One thing I wanted to notice when you said, oh, I'm off track. Actually, I gotta say, the bookkeeping industry has changed so much, right? You've been doing this a long time. You've seen it. I mean, one day there used to be data entry, and then we got a player, and then we got another player. And, now some new players entered the game, and now we're doing bank feeds instead of actually data entry anymore. And, audits have changed because I do a lot of helping clients through audits, right? And that's changed in terms of, when I hear somebody say they use an accounting software and they do their own bookkeeping, the thing that comes out of my mouth is a double of the rate because I know it's going to take me twice as much time to do an audit with them because I know why they're being audited as soon as they say that. So anyway, so it's changing. It's changing. I think the biggest comparison is you look at taxis, and we have Uber now, which is really big everywhere. Cab companies, Uber did not kill cab companies. Cab companies killed cab companies because they didn't adapt to what was happening and the needs of people in the industry. I personally, and people may completely disagree with me on this topic, people are looking for something different. I don't do value pricing because it no longer makes sense to what customers want. And if I don't want to die that death on the value pricing hill, then I need to roll with what customers need. And I'm just finding that customers want They're looking for more service. They want to cut corners, but they don't need to cut corners in money. Sometimes they can cut corners in service. So you're right. When you talk about all the different apps, we have to be super careful. Life is changing fast, and you got to roll with what your customers need.
I think you've quoted maybe one of the biggest quotes. I don't know, we'll have to put it out there. Die on the value pricing hill. It's hilarious. I love it. It's food for thought, and it's challenging, and I think you're on the right track with figuring out what works for you. And the world is changing, and a lot of great things. A lot of things are going to come that are, different. And taxi companies, another great analogy where they're the ones that were the problem. And they're like, wait a second, you mean I can't keep being a problem and charging you money for it? No, it's like, there's a better thing over here, and it's like not a little bit better. It's a lot better, and it's half the price and all these great things. So being aware of what's changing and paying attention to how things, and being willing to change. As an entrepreneur, it's not about the direct route. It's a constant course recorrection and making decisions and going, wow, that didn't work, or it did work, or that's better and not better. If you're just staying stagnant and hoping the world doesn't change, guess what? It's going to be it's changed fast. It's changing right this minute, and it's going to change exponentially every second that goes forward beyond our wildest imagination. And for many, that's very scary. But if you pay attention and you get involved and you try and embrace what's happening, I think you're better for it.
One of the most famous quotes ever from Tony Robbins, and I had done a number of his sessions, but this one I take with me every single day: fall out of love with yourself and fall in love with your customer, and watch the magic happen. And you got to fall in love with your customer. You got to want to please them, be happy with who they are. When you fall out of love with what you offer or your package or your whatever, and you fall in love with them, you have a beautiful relationship that happens. And he says that in his business seminars, right? And really talks about that a lot. And I tell you, that was life-changing to me when I heard that. It really resonated.
I love that. Come from love and put focus where it is going to generate great things. I love that. This has been a fantastic conversation. We've gone in many different directions. Probably could ask a whole bunch of other questions, but let's maybe talk a little bit about the courses that you do. You help people, you train them, some of the other offerings that you've got you do work on the bookkeeping side, the accounting side, but you're also doing some training. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've traditionally had the bookkeeping model. Of course, you come to me, we offer services, et cetera. And I've trained and taught for a long time. I taught for many, many years at a local university here in Edmonton. And I really, I'm an old dog, and I'm finding in my old age that who I really want to mentor are the people that are struggling and trying. I no longer want to change the world, but I certainly want to help those that are. So I've done, there's some courses on my website, and they're really geared to helping little person. I do live teaching as well. So a couple times a year we do some tax classes, which are very popular and well attended, and really helping the little guys just know, what do I have to do? This is so confusing. What do I just have to do? Because I'm too little to need a bookkeeper. Every business is going to have a bookkeeper. It's going to be you, the bookkeeper, or the accountant. The bookkeeper can be you, or it can be your accounting person, but somebody needs to do that work. And that's really where we focus on. What are the things you need to do? What are the tips? What are the industry secrets, right? What are the things we know that you don't know? So the tax class is always one that's super popular, and I run that only twice a year, once in the fall and once in February, right in tax season. And I just recently started a YouTube channel because I don't know if you know, but Canada Revenue Agency is making a ton of changes right now. They are confusing for clients, but more so, I think our industry is struggling because they're taking a lot of power away from us. See it, right? Like, we can no longer do things for clients, and everybody has to go online and have an account. So I just recently started a YouTube channel called Learn Bookkeeping Canada. And I'm just doing videos to help our industry, people in our industry, the business owners, help our clients. And I mean, clients obviously can view them as well, but it just is a reliable source of information. There's so much stuff out there, and just being a reliable place. And there's also a group, Facebook group called Learn Bookkeeping Canada, which is a place for you to learn those basics and be okay that you're asking something which you feel is dumb, et cetera, right? It's not. It's a place in there. There's lots of professionals in that group as well. And we have lots of really good names that answer it. So just trying to be a whole source. So Learn Bookkeeping Canada would be the place if you want to learn under there. And of course, we still do take on clients that want us to do bookkeeping as well. And that's under the custom bookkeeping side of our world.
Very cool. Lots of cool stuff. And lots of great opportunities for our listener, for their clients. And just absolutely, I don't think I asked, but you're from Edmonton. So go Oilers. Definitely watched the game till it almost went to double overtime last night. We're a big Oiler family here and love McDavid. And so I hope your city takes the cup. I don't know if you follow, but you could probably hear them cheering down there at Rogers Place. It's
been great. I don't watch hockey, but I stay on top. And yesterday they were playing, and the score was tied. And I wasn't watching. I just happened to be at home, and I knew the minute that the Oilers scored, all you could hear was beep, beep, honk, honk, like everywhere, all around us, and people screaming, and like the neighborhood. So there's definitely some Oilers fever going on here right now, which is good.
Oilers fever is happening, and I'm right across Canada because it is the Canadian chance at bringing the cup back to Canada, and it's a big deal. And, you can't not love Edmonton, even if you're not a fan of Edmonton. And Connor McDavid's one of the greatest hockey players to ever play the game. And so awesome that he's Canadian, and we get to watch and celebrate and enjoy that.
This might date me, but I can remember when it was Gretzky and Messier and Semenko, and like back when we used to have the Stanley Cup before. It was great hockey, and I would say it's even better. It's even better these days, for sure. It's good.
It really has changed, and those were great days for Edmonton and the sport, but Gretzky, of course, but nowadays the game's so fast. It's a really entertaining sport. There's no question about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, this has been great. I want to thank you, Lynn, for being on the show and for all the knowledge that we've been able to tap into and bring to our listeners today. Has been just absolutely fabulous. So thank you on behalf of our listeners.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Wasn't that a terrific chat with Lynn? Some valuable insights there. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.